Covering all my bases, making sure that if something happens to me or my family or all of us, that our assets are documented.
Susan recorded a video in July 2008 surveying property damage she attributed to her husband, and wrote a secret will that included the statements, "I want it documented that there is extreme turmoil in our marriage, and if I die, it may not be an accident, even if it looks like one." Susan Powell is an American missing person from West Valley City, Utah, whose disappearance and presumed murder, as well as the subsequent investigation and events, garnered national media attention. Susan's husband, Joshua Powell, was named a person of interest in the investigation into her disappearance, but was never charged. On February 5, 2012, an event will occur that will add even more mystery and tragedy to the entire case. If you want to know how the life of this entire family that once seemed to be a very happy family ended as a tragedy, stick around as we unravel to you all that you need to know about this mystery. But before we start, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell to receive our latest notifications. Susan Mary Powell was born on October 16, 1981 to Chuck and Judy Cox, and her husband Joshua Powell was born on January 20, 1976 to Stephen and Terica Powell in Puyallup, Washington. Joshua's parents had a dysfunctional marriage, caused in large parts by Stephen's disaffection with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, LDS Church. Before Joshua met Susan, he was in a relationship with a woman called Catherine Terry Everett, whom he met at a local LDS church, but things were not going very well for them. When Everett visited a friend in Utah without Joshua, she decided not to return to Seattle and broke up with him over the phone. After that, Joshua met Susan Cox, a classmate at his LDS Church Institute of Religion course, during a dinner party at his Tacoma apartment in November 2000. The two began a relationship and eventually married in the Portland, Oregon temple in April 2001. For a brief period following their wedding, Joshua and Susan lived at Stephen Powell's home in South Hill, Washington. Initially, unbeknownst to Susan, her father-in-law Stephen had developed an obsessive infatuation with her. In 2003, Stephen confessed his amorous feelings to a stunned Susan, who rejected him. The encounter was inadvertently captured by Stephen's camcorder microphone. The Powells moved out of state soon after, partly so Susan could distance herself from Stephen. Joshua was an educated man with a bachelor's degree in business and worked for a number of different companies over the years. Susan also was a trained cosmetologist, took up a job with Wells Fargo Investments after the family's relocation to West Valley City, Utah, a suburb of Salt Lake City. The Powells went on to have two sons, Charles, born in 2005, and Braden, born in 2007. On the morning of December 6, 2009, Susan, Charles, and Braden attended church services. A neighbor visited them at home in the afternoon, leaving at about 5 p.m. This was the last time Susan was ever seen by someone from outside the Powell household. By December 7, the entire Powell family was reported missing. The police were called after Joshua's family failed to make contact with Joshua and Susan. The police broke into the house, fearing the family suffered carbon monoxide poisoning, but no one was found inside. Susan did not show up at her job on December 7. Her purse, wallet, and identification were all found at the house. Her cell phone was later found in the family's only vehicle. Joshua returned home with the two boys at about 5 p.m. He was taken to police station and questioned. He claimed he left Susan sleeping at home on December 7, and that he had taken his boys on a camping trip to Simpson Spring in western Utah. Police visited the site, but found no evidence of the campsite that Joshua had described. Joshua became one of the main suspects in Susan's disappearance after several pieces of evidence were yielded against him, and by December 24, Joshua was considered a person of interest in the investigation. On January 6, 2010, he returned with his brother, Michael, to pack the family's belongings, indicating he was moving permanently to Puyallup to live in the family's house. Suspecting that Susan might have been killed and buried, many possible grave sites were ruled out after they were investigated by the specialists. Theories claiming that Susan had abandoned her family due to mental illness and that she had left with another man surfaced as well, starring a new life. Susan's family rejected these claims as being unsupported by any evidence. Joshua's father, Stephen, was arrested on charges of voyeurism and child pornography after police found evidence that he had secretly videotaped numerous women and young girls, including Susan. Police interviewed young Charlie Powell, who said that the camping trip took place, but told the police that Susan came with them, but did not return. A few weeks later, Charlie's schoolteacher says he claims his mother is dead. Chuck and Judy Cox would also later say that while at daycare, Braden drew a picture of a van with 3 people inside, and told daycare workers that mommy was in the trunk. In late September 2011, Joshua's sister Jennifer stated that she believed Joshua was responsible for his wife Susan Powell's disappearance. His other sister Alena had also been suspicious of him as well. However, she later withdrew her suspicions and felt that Joshua had been unduly harassed by the investigation. The Cox family held a press conference, revealing that Susan had told family and friends that she might end her relationship with Josh by their April 6th anniversary. The Cox family says Josh had been physically abusive with Susan at least once in the past. Soon afterwards, the website susanpowell.org was launched, described as the official website of Susan Powell. The site's anonymous entries defended Joshua as the victim of a smear campaign by Susan's family, his estranged sister Jennifer, and the LDS Church. Additional posts also speculated that Susan's disappearance was connected to that of Stephen Kosher, a former journalist who vanished the same week as Susan, and that the two had run off to Brazil together. In late 2011, Joshua underwent a series of court-ordered evaluations in Washington. The evaluations by James Manley determined that Joshua had adequate parenting skills, a steady employment history, and no criminal record or history of domestic violence. However, Manley also raised issues concerning the ongoing criminal investigations, Joshua's failure to admit normal personal shortcomings, his overbearing behavior with his sons, and his persistent defensiveness and paranoia, attributed to police and media attention in conjunction with underlying narcissistic traits. The initial recommendation was for Joshua to have visitation with his sons several times a week, supervised by a social worker. What would happen next would blow your mind. On February 5, 2012, social worker Elizabeth Griffin Hall called 911 after taking Charlie and Braden to a supervised visit at Joshua's house in South Hill. Hall, who was supposed to monitor the visit between Joshua and the boys, reported that he grabbed them and would not let her through the door. Soon thereafter, the house exploded, killing Joshua and the 2 children. Local authorities treated the case as a double murder-suicide, saying that the act appeared to have been deliberate. After the house explosion, Chuck and Judy Cox sued the Washington State Department of Social and Health Services in civil court, alleging that its negligence contributed to the deaths of their grandsons. The lawsuit was thrown out in 2015, but was appealed and revived in 2019 by the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. The jury ruled Washington State was negligent when it was supposed to protect the 2 young boys during a supervised visit with their father, Josh Powell. The state will have to pay Charles and Judy Cox, the grandparents of the boys, $98 million. In 2019, the Cold podcast disclosed that the incestuous cartoon porn found by Utah police was not Joshua's, nor even came from his computer. The pornographic pictures were found to be on a computer that actually belonged to Susan, and that the pornography had been viewed by the computer's previous owners, from whom she had purchased the used computer secondhand. Cole declined to identify the original owners of the computer because no criminal charges have been filed against anyone related to the images. A documentary titled The Disappearance of Susan Cox Powell premiered on Oxygen in May 2019. The 2-night special was thought to be the definitive account of the investigation, revealing Stephen Powell's never-before-seen videos that were seized by police when he was arrested. The documentary included interviews with many who have never spoken out publicly, including Joshua Powell's sister Alena. Susan remains a missing person, but given the fates of her sons, it is widely believed that she was murdered by her husband Joshua. There were calls as of March 2018 to have her declared dead, with the cause being homicide. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss more of our videos. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.